Hello, this is Ashley Collier for Principles of Nature Final. This will just be kind of a reflection of what I thought about the class and how I desire to live more of an Athenian lifestyle. So first, I just want to say, I really loved Principles of Nature, and I really loved everything that we learned in the class. And it was just, really beautiful to see the fruit that was coming from what I was learning, because it was just really great to see the different conversations that were happening outside of class, meeting up with friends, and just, really wanting to call each other on to live more of a life of questioning. It was just really beautiful to see that. One time I had a coffee date with a friend, and we just had a 2-hour long conversation about beauty and what does it mean for something to be beautiful, and different ideas that people have, and what does Plato think, and what are we learning in our philosophy classes and our theology classes. So it's just been a really wonderful time to kind of develop these different strengths in these areas, to have these conversations with people, and to think deeper into how I'm living my life, and how other people are living their lives, and how we can call each other deeper. So it's been really beautiful. First I wanted to talk about Nietzsche, and I wanted to talk kind of about how this way of thought is kind of the thought of the world, of that really, Nietzsche, he comes out and he kind of talks about how nothing in life really matters. And first I just want to say that I personally was not much of a fan of reading Nietzsche. He had a lot of good ideas, and he had a lot of good arguments, but it just made me kind of sad because, we read it and we're like, man, Nietzsche, you, there's so much more to life, and he has the capacity, he's searching for these things, and it was just kind of sad to see it kind of go on the downhill. But something that I really appreciated was starting off the class with Nietzsche. I didn't know who he was before taking the class, but I was just really happy to see that we were starting off the class with a receptivity, because, the whole point is to live in more of an Athenian lifestyle, which, as Plato would say, is kind of like a life of questioning. And so in order to be open to a life of questioning, we have to be open to the responses that people are going to give us, and the different conversations that it could bring about. And so I just really liked how we didn't go straight to Plato or straight to JP2, but we started with Nietzsche, and we started with these ideas of the world, and just learning how to be receptive to them, and kind of ask questions for the things that he's saying, and to kind of even have a dialogue with Nietzsche through the class. So I really enjoyed kind of just kind of how the class started. So Nietzsche says that, nothing really matters in life, because even if there was an absolute truth, the ways that we describe these absolute truths and the way that we try to live our lives are just these ideas that people have decided on. And it's these ideas, these moral codes, that people have decided what is right. And he says that if you just decide that that's right, then how do you really know what is right? How do you really know what is truth, if the things that you are saying is true is just kind of things that you don't really know, that you can't really grasp on, that you're just kind of making up, he says, to kind of fit your social standard. And so even if there was an absolute truth, he said that we really couldn't know it, because everything that we say is a lie, if nothing really kind of meets that truth. And so it's interesting of how this kind of went into, well, if everything is a lie, and if there really isn't any truth, then I might as well live for power. I might as well live a life for pleasure. And kind of going along this theme of what technology is, that technology is the way that we can see the world. And I really enjoyed this conversation, and have brought it up in different conversations of just man, how true that this rings for the world of living this life of technology. And knowing that that isn't just kind of our phones or our computers or whatever, but it's how we perceive the world. And that I'm going to look at the world in this sense of power, and how I see something is not really seeing it as it is, but seeing it as I can use it, seeing it as I can take it, how I can mold it to fit what I want. And that really messes up a lot of things of how people view the world and how they view people. Because if I look at something and I see it as something to be taken, something to be used, to be manipulated for my for what I want it to be for, then how do I look at a person? Like, do I look at a person as who they really are, as as like with respect and with the truth of their being, or am I looking at them as something to use, as someone to manipulate to get what I want, and then to throw them away? And so, yeah, this is just a huge problem in our world, and it kind of shifts into. I kind of want to shift around back to that question, or back to that reflection, and talking about Plato next, of how Plato, he didn't live a life of power. He didn't live a life of taking, of grasping, but he took it, his life, as a life of questioning, as a life of seeking what is true, good, and beautiful. And I really enjoyed reading Plato, and I really enjoyed our discussions on Plato, specifically on his ideas of the forms. Just in general, I'm a freshman at Benedictine, and so it's just been really joyful to have all these different classes, and been really beautiful. But before coming to Benedictine, and still now, I really love beauty, and I really love creation, and not in the sense of just loving beauty for, and loving creation because, just because it's there, and just because it is, and someone could say, oh yeah, that tree is really beautiful, or whatever. But being able to see and seeing whoa, this, something that is beautiful, and the way that I see the world points me to God, and it points me to beauty himself. And I just really enjoyed reading Plato because it kind of clarified this, and it allowed me to develop and to pray just about this aspect in my life and how I want to live my life. Plato kind of talks about how whenever we look at something, or whenever we encounter something, it is not for our use. It's not for technology's sake. But that thing, that material thing, or whatever it may be, that person has an ontological reality. And we kind of talked about this at the end of the semester with Aquinas, but that ontology is a study of being. And so that that thing, that person, is not for my use. Someone's purpose is not what I make it to be, but they have a purpose, and that material thing has a purpose. And Plato talks about how the forms aren't just there by themselves. They aren't just, I don't know if I said forms or beings, but the material things, they aren't just there for themselves, but they point us to the forms. They point us to God, and to the good. And I just really enjoyed reflecting over this, because whenever we see something as beautiful, it's not beautiful on its own, because something that is being can't just come into being by itself, but it has to obtain its being from he who is being. And this is something that I will never wrap my brains around, and I hope that no one does, because we're not supposed to. And kind of goes back to what Plato says about what wisdom is, and that it's ignorance. And I wouldn't say that I'm wise, but I also wouldn't say that I know really anything. Or I would say that I don't know anything. So, but anyways, yeah, just like thinking about how the forms are reflected here on earth. And whenever we see something that's beautiful, it is because it reflects He who is beauty. And something that is good, it is He who is good. And something that is true, it is He who is true. And like just all of these different things. And so going back to technology, just the way that the world sees things, that, okay, I have things and they're for my taking, and they're for my use, and therefore whatever I want to make them to be. And I really liked how we talked about how in order to be able to see something as it really is, to kind of get out of this view of technology, it is to behold. Like it is to receive and to behold. Because everything that reflects the forms is God, who is love, who is relationship. And love and relationship and God is not meant to be grasped. But if like we were to grasp love, if we were to try to take the Lord or whatever it may be, or the things on this earth, it would contradict what they're made for. Because if they're made in reflection of God, who is love and who is relationship, yeah, it would contradict that, because love is meant to be given and meant to be received, but never taken for possession. So yeah, it's just really beautiful to kind of go into the world and see things as they are, and to see beauty as it is in light of the forms. And something that I think you, Dr. Jager, said in your one reflection with Clark during this time of online and everything, was you were talking about how we see something as beautiful is seeing things as the particulars in light of the whole. And I really don't have terribly too much to contribute to that statement, but I just really have been enjoying just thinking about that and praying about it, that's truly what it is. Like, whenever I see something as beautiful, whenever I see something as it is, which is in light of the forms, I can't see it as it is without the whole. Like, if I just single it out and I'm like, yeah, that's a tree, or yeah, that's a person, or that's a piece of art, or that's music, or whatever it is, like, I won't be able to see it as beautiful, or I won't be able to see it as it truly is, because as it truly is in light of the whole, is in light of the good. So yeah, that's just been very, very wonderful to reflect on. And I know I probably should wrap this up because I'm at 12 minutes. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just finish up with Clark. And I really enjoyed your conversations for this time online about Clark. And just kind of reflecting on what it means to be, and what it means to be human. And what it means to be human is like to be in relationship and to be in communion with others. And just how that's so true, because we're made in the image and likeness of God, and God who is Trinity, God who is relationship, who is communion, who is love. And how I'm called to the same thing, how I, at my very core, at my being, it is to be in relationship. And yeah, just reflecting on that, especially in this time of being at home and of not being with other people, there's definitely a hunger that I have not really noticed until things have been taken away, that I really hunger for communion, and I really hunger like to know and to be known, and just like recognizing that is who I am at my core, is to be in relationship and to be in communion. And how, like, yeah, just taking that with kind of back to Plato, with how he said that, like, what our ultimate end is to be in relationship with the good, because like everything is pointed at its end to the good. And so like what I'm called to is to be in relationship with the good, in relationship with God, in union with him, because that's what, we kind of talked about, how love and Eros, and how it's not just like, oh yeah, like God's pretty great, and the forms, whatever that means, and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, no, like at the nature of the good, it is, and the nature of who I am, it is to be in relationship and to be in union with one another. And at our end, to be in union with the good, and to be in love with the good, and to be in union with the good. And so it's just really beautiful to reflect on, and to really notice that hunger that I have. Like, I really hunger to be with people, and to be known, and to be loved, and to love, and to know. Yeah, so I probably should kind of speed this up a bit, since we're at 15 minutes now. I think you said 5 minutes, so I'm sorry. But it has been much of a joy to contemplate these different realities of my life. But also to know that it's not just my life, that it's your life, and that it's my sister's life, and that it's my neighbor's life. That's kind of what Clark kind of went to in wrapping it all up, was that, okay, like, I'm made for communion, I'm made for others, but it's actually like that we are one, and that we are one body, like body of Christ. Like, I live not for myself, but I live for the other members of the body, because I want to live as Christ. I want to resemble him, and like him at his core in the Trinity is to give of himself and to receive. And so me at my core is to receive and to give of myself to others, so that we all may be one people, one body, and together in communion be in relationship with the good, to be in love with the good, and to kind of mirror that in our relationships with others, because it's what we're called to, that's what we're made for, that's what it means to be fully alive and fully human. So I think that I will be ending this video right now, but I just wanted to say thank you for the wonderful year, half of year, and yeah, I just really enjoyed the class, and I hope to take more classes with you. And yeah, please know of my prayers for you, and please pray for me in this time. And I hope that you enjoy this video. Okay, goodbye.